Dan is calling on line one. Dan, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah, I just wanted to say what I appreciate about Jay Sekulow and Jay Sekulow's team is the fact that you show it's right and fight for what is right, not necessarily what is popular. From the grassroots all the way up to the Supreme Court, it works if you stick with it. We're not alone. We have a voice.
You know what, Dan, I appreciate that. Rick, when we started this work almost 40 years ago, that was really the goal of what Dan said, was to be a voice for those that, collectively you can speak much louder than you can individually. And in the courts, it was getting our viewpoint across. And like I said, we're going to talk about this in the next segment. We've got a major case at the Supreme Court of the United States on the religion clause. I mean, it could be, Harry and I are going to explain. I mean, it could have dramatic consequences. But, Rick, when you look at the issues, and you've said this about the work of the ACLJ and your involvement with it now, that is, we are able to, whether it's the government affairs team in Washington, whether it's filing what we did yesterday, a FOIA lawsuit against the FBI for using now you were the director of national intelligence, 2 million search terms on 3 million Americans, and the government comes out and says, oh, by the way, at least 4 of those Americans should not have had their access taken or the information taken unless the government, that was them, the Department of Justice, got a FISA warrant, which means you'd have to go to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. Now, what's interesting about that, if they're saying there's 4, I assume there's 4,000. I mean, I just don't take them at their word on this. But the ability to fight this back for people in, we got calls coming in from Nevada, Michigan, New England, wherever it might be. The fact of the matter is, being able to fight back, being able to speak out, being able to address the issues on the broadcast really makes a difference in Washington, but also around the globe. And you do deal with issues around the globe.
Well, look, it's not just complaining. And I know a lot of us are in the business of complaining and trying to make policies better. But what I love about ACLJ is that we're actually taking action. And this is something that we do Monday through Friday, every single day. And I know at the end of the year especially, there are a whole bunch of charities and good organizations that are asking for money. I get that. But one of the reasons why I joined ACLJ is specifically because of the action that we take, not just getting on here and complaining, but using the courts, using public disclosures with very smart lawyers knowing how to push back and get this information, holding the government to account, taking action, not just sitting here complaining. And I know a lot of organizations like to highlight the problems, but we're trying to go after the solutions. And I think that's a huge difference. I hope people will support us here at the end of the year and that we rise to the priority list of what people need to do.
Well, and that's why we want to hear from you folks. We want to know what your priorities too and what you appreciate about what we're doing at the ACLJ, 1-800-684-3110. But to follow up what Rick said, the fact of the matter is this. Whether it is a complex issue of national security, which we handle lots of, or whether it's a crisis pregnancy center trying to operate in Colorado, and the officials in Colorado will not even let the pro-life side make an appearance at a city council meeting, we deployed lawyers, and they were able to make the pro-life side got their view in. I don't guarantee results. You can never guarantee results, but you know what I can guarantee you? We're going to be there for the fight. I call it the ministry of presence. Lots of times, you just have to be there. And we deploy lawyers and government affairs officials around the globe, literally around the globe. We got a case right now in Pakistan, folks. A 16-year-old kid becomes a Christian. This is the lowest rung of society in the way that it's set up in Pakistan. And he gets arrested because he was in a discussion with a 27-year-old or 30-year-old Muslim man where he worked. He's a janitor, our client. He's given the death sentence for this. Now, we're taking it through the Pakistan court systems, but, Rick, you were at the UN for a long time, 10 years. We've got the committee on arbitrary detention looking at it right now. If they take the case, I'll tell you our experience has been, as much as the UN is dysfunctional, when the committee on arbitrary detention takes a case, generally the person's not going to be put to death. I mean, that's been our experience. So being able to fight in environments that may not be so friendly, Rick, are also very important. You've been into the UN for, like I said, a decade.
Well, here's the thing that I love about ACLJ as well, is that we stick to our lane. If you believe in action and court action and defending religious liberties around the world, then we're the organization for you. I grew up evangelical Christian, and one of the great things that I love about ACLJ is, recently, as you know, Jay, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, and immediately I had a team of people who contacted me and said, we're praying for your mom.
Yep.
This is the organization that I'm a part of, and I couldn't be more proud because we stick to our lane. We look for religious liberties cases. It's not just Christian, it's Christian, Jewish, Muslim. It is religious liberty cases around the world, and we take action, and we're holding the Biden administration to account. So those are the lanes that I believe in. I know our listeners believe in those lanes. That's the focus. If you believe in that focus for an organization, then we should be the ones that you support, and I hope that people will. I know personally, I can tell you the action that we're taking, the work that we're doing is noble.
I want to take David's call quickly on line 3. David, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, Jay, thanks so much. I've been a broad supporter for you since going back to the late 80s.
Thank you.
I just want to thank you for all your work. Thank you for the petitions that we can be involved in.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being on the front line of all the things that you do, from taking care of Planned Parenthood stuff and pro-life stuff, and just giving the opportunity to show my kids your legacy and Christian legacy that goes with that. So thank you so much for all that you do.
David, I appreciate you calling in, and it follows up exactly on Rick said. I only got a minute here, folks, and I'm glad I was able to take David's call. This is a team effort. We've got a big team here at the ACLJ. You see Jay, you see Harry, you see Jordan and Logan, but there's a lot of people working here. And of course, Rick is on the broadcast and others. I mean, we've got a big team behind the cameras, in front of the cameras, around the globe. This is where you come in, folks. And Rick just said it. I want to thank you for saying this, Rick. Your support, this is the most critical 2 days of the ACLJ's year. I mean, Rick, when I look, we only got 40 seconds here. This is when it counts, right now. And you said there are a lot of worthy organizations, but we're not afraid. Rick's not afraid. I'm not afraid to ask you for the support for the ACLJ.
I hope that people recognize that the work that we're doing needs to continue, and the only way it continues is through their support.
That's exactly right. Thanks, Rick. We appreciate it. Have a good new year. We're praying for your mom.